So you're playing Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 2 on your DS, and you're realizing that for a game called Dragon Quest Monsters, there's a whole lot of monsters that never appeared in any other Dragon Quest games. That's right, today we're looking at 20 of the weirdest monsters that appear in Joker 2 and Joker 2 Professional. We're just going to be looking at some of the stuff around them, some of the info that I was able to find, and maybe give you a reason why you should care about these monsters, and maybe why they should come back in a future installment to the series. So welcome everybody, I'm Defeater of Souls, and if you're interested in Dragon Quest Monsters content, feel free to subscribe to my channel. So with that all out of the way, let's start with the monster that isn't unique to Joker 2. That's right, the Conklave. The Conklave is a group of monsters that were originally introduced as separate enemies in Dragon Quest VII. There was the Conqueror, there's the Conquistador, the Conjurer, and the Conquisitor. And basically, in Joker 2, they put all four together, called them a single enemy, and called it a day. Now that's great and all, besides the fact that the concept of grouping them all together wasn't introduced until Joker 2. What does this have to do with this video? Not a lot, except that it was the basis for the first enemy that's really the topic of this video, the Conkettes. Have you ever wondered what it'd be like if conclaves were excessively and stereotypically female? Well, now you can say it yourself. You have the female Conquistador, the female Conqueror, the female Conjurer, and the female Conquisitor. Did I already say that one? Female Conquistador. And yes, that's right, you can now have access to all of them as women. I don't know why you want this, but hey, they're actually alright. They're small-sized, A-ranking monsters with a healing skill set and some decent traits. Honestly, not bad at all. Kind of defeats the point that they're a bit hard to synthesize, but, you know, besides that, pretty solid. You definitely go worse with a Conclave ripoff. What's that? You want another Conclave ripoff? Well, introducing you to the Robbin Huddle. That's right, the Robbin Huddle is basically just a bunch of smaller versions of Robin Hood, who has become somewhat of a reoccurring character throughout Dragon Quest games. These guys are all really small, and, of course, they're small-sized as a result of that. They're rank C monsters and have some decent physical attacks, but they're honestly just not that good, and you can only actually access them from a chance encounter, and that is a whole bag of worms that I'm not going to get into. It basically means you're not accessing them anytime soon. But yeah, bunch of small Robin Hoods. Alright, so we technically just looked at 8 monsters right there, not that they count as separate ones, but where can we go from there? We just saw a bunch of small guys. Let's step it up a notch. Take a look at Aquarion. Alright, we may have gone a little too big. Aquarion is an X-rank, large-sized monster that is really good. You can learn more about it in a different video that I made a little while back. So, what is Aquarion good at besides powerful physical attacks? Well, I mean, that's pretty much it. But something that is interesting is that he is a monster based off the Greek Zodiac, something that makes up a large portion of this list. So I should probably talk about the Greek Zodiac. What is the Greek Zodiac, you might ask? Well, the Greek Zodiac is basically just a bunch of celestial constellations and stars that make up astrology, I suppose. Yes, and basically these constellations appear in the sky during certain times in order to influence people who are born under those things. You have your Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpius, Sagittarius, Capricornus, Aquarius, and Pisces. Pretty much make up these 12 constellations that you can see sometime during the year. And somebody at Square Enix or Tosei took a look at this and said this would be an awesome idea for a bunch of monsters that we'll never see again. So, I'll make sure I explain a little bit more about each one when we come to a monster that is made up of or inspired by one of those zodiacs. And Aquarion, in case you couldn't tell, is based off of Aquarius. Aquarius is water-based. That's pretty much all I can say because it's pretty obvious from there where you get your inspiration. Aquarion has a big trident and basically looks like Poseidon, I suppose. Not that Poseidon, different Poseidon. But yeah, you know, just a strong, solid water monster. You know another water monster? Canzar. Canzar, who is based off the Greek zodiac of the Cancer, which sounds bad, but it's just a crab. Came first. S-rank, large-sized, decently defensive, but not exceptionally powerful. This is also the second Dragon Quest monster to be named after Cancer, although the idea of doing the entire Greek Zodiac is new for Joker 2. Cancer actually appeared first in Dragon Quest Monsters 2 for the Game Boy Color, with the Cancer Man. More on that in a later video, maybe. Speaking of Greek Zodiac monsters, you're going to be hearing a lot about them. Sagittar, another X-rank L-sized monster, once again, ranked them in a different video. Very powerful physical attacker, and they also appear as a boss in Joker 2. And they're a really good one, too. They do a really good job of, you know, making him seem awesome. So, you know, you gotta make sure you have that every time he reappears in any game, otherwise it just doesn't feel right. Besides that, you know, nothing too much to mention here except, you know, he looks cool. Now, those are pretty much all of the ones that it's pretty clear where their inspiration comes from. Those three, you can look at them, you can look at their Greek zodiac counterparts of Aquarius, Cancer, and Sagittarius, I probably should have mentioned that, and say, yeah, okay, I can see where those lines were drawn. Now we get to the Greek zodiac monsters where lines start to get a little blurry, whether or not it was intentional, or if, you know, they just decided only a handful of Greek zodiac monsters were really necessary. And that's first seen with the Taurus, or the Taurix. This seems like it's based off of Taurus, however, there is something you should know. Of the three Greek zodiac monsters we've seen, there has been a pattern that's been formed. All of them are generally either medium or large size, they're generally always high ranking, A, S, or X, and they all have unique skill sets. Taurus seems to be a medium-sized monster, but since they're a Joker 2 professional exclusive monster, we do not know their rank, we do not properly know their size, we do not know their skill set. So how can we know if this is a member of the Greek Zodiac? Answer is, we don't. We look at a different game. Dragon Quest Monsters 2 for the 3DS has some pretty good stuff on it if you want to play the game. Not too useful for making videos, but I'm figuring out a way to make it work. And you can see that if you play Dragon Quest Monsters 2 on your 3DS, you can actually obtain Taurus, where it is a rather high-ranking, medium-sized monster without a unique skill set. So whether or not this is supposed to be a member of the Greek Zodiac or if it's just a strange coincidence, that's to remain to be seen. But a monster that's a lot more clear on whether or not they're supposed to be Greek Zodiac is the Dorsal Fiend. Hey, you're saying that's not the name of one of the Zodiac, and you're right. But this is a fish, and you know there is a Greek Zodiac that's a fish. It's called Pisces. This is an A-rank M-sized monster and has some really good offensive stats. It also has a unique skill set. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll talk more about Dorsal Fiend in a little bit. We have a few more monsters to get through that share a similar trait with them. Let's see if you can guess it before I get to them. Next one, Duellers. Any guess which Greek Zodiac this is? My bet is on Gemini, also known as the Twins. A-rank, M-size, really fast, decently strong. Pretty good. So yeah, powerful, fast physical attacker. Nothing too special there. Exorsus. Now, what Greek Zodiac could this goat-headed person be? Probably Capricorn, the goat. A-rank, M-size, and good magic attacker. Nothing too special here. Thornella. Where in the world does this fit in? My money is on Virgo. Here's my proof. Alright, A-rank, M-sized, somewhat incredibly fast, surprisingly, decently strong, and just good stats all around. And they really like status conditions with their unique skill set. And then finally, Mortella. Once again, probably based off the Greek Zodiac. Scorpio would be my guess. If you want to know why Scorpio, because, you know, you're looking at the same thing I am. The reason why I'm assuming Scorpio is because in a now defunct mobile game called Dragon Quest Monsters Super Light, there was a palette swap version of Mortella, for some reason, called Scorpia. And, yeah, that kind of connects the dots just a little bit. A-rank, M-size, good stats, like status conditions. Alright, Dorsal Fiend, Duellers, Exorsus, Thornella, and Mortella. What do all of these monsters have in common, besides the fact that they're all A-ranks, M-sized, and probably members of the Greek Zodiac because they all have unique skill sets? The answer is you can't obtain any of these monsters till after you beat the game. That's right, each one of these monsters is only obtainable if you've encountered them after, you know, the post-game, after you've beaten the final boss and you're wandering around some of the post-game dungeons. You can acquire any of these monsters. Now you might be saying, alright, sure, but what if I just synthesize them instead? And that's the catch. See, although all these monsters are only accessible in the post-game, you can synthesize them as long as you have one of the other monsters. Let's do an example. Say you want Dorsal Fiend, because Dorsal Fiend looks really cool. Well, in order to synthesize him, you're going to need Gracos, or Gracos, depending on how you care about pronunciation, and one of the following: Duellers, or Exorsus, or Thornella, or Mortella. You see the problem? All of these monsters have unintentionally been locked away due to, I don't know if it's an oversight or an intentional choice, but either way, they're all great post-game options, which I guess technically the S-ranks and the X-rank ones earlier probably would be too, but at the same time, with enough effort, you could probably get any monster really quickly. Anyway, let's move away from the Greek Zodiac monsters. There are a handful of others, but they're not on this list. So, what's a weird monster? Ever hear of the Kapurigon? This is a goat-headed, multi-winged monster, medium-sized, probably, physical attacker. Another Joker 2 professional exclusive monster, so we don't really know too much about it, so all of that's mostly guesswork based off of what I have been able to find, and what they were in other games, that being Dragon Quest Monsters 2 for the 3DS. Uh, of course, in that game, they're a powerful magic attacker, and they are a member of the zombie family, so let me just ask you, what part of goat-headed, multi-winged monster screams zombie to you? And you might be thinking, hey, is this another member of the Greek Zodiac? And the answer is it doesn't have a unique skill set, so probably not. Besides, it's a flying goat. We've already done Copernicus, so unless I've gotten those mixed around, I have really no idea. Let's step away from all that unknown stuff and move to something else we don't know. King Sanguini. Yeah, it's kind of all in the name, isn't it? Big, fat Sanguini. Probably medium-sized, although large size would be really funny. Magic attacker seems to be what I've found based off what I've been able to find. This is actually one of many monsters that came up with the idea of just grouping together monsters of a single type, such as slimes or platypunks, grouping them together to make a big fat one and just calling it a king or a greater version. So, for example, this is similar to the king slime or the greater platypunk. The king sanguini fits right in. Alright, let's move to a monster which actually was not introduced in Joker 2 or Joker 2 Professional, the Diamond Slime. It was actually first introduced in Caravan Heart, where instead of looking at the sleek ring design that we see now, it instead looked more like a gem slime, except without the crown, so really boring. It's redesigned for Joker 2 Professional to the ring design. This was used in a handful of things, such as Dragon Quest Tact, now defunct, on the phone, but now both designs seem to exist simultaneously. Diamond Slime is a small-sized monster, and apparently they have a unique trait called, I think it was hard metal body, so it's just a stronger version of metal body that metal slimes have, which makes sense if diamond slime's anything like gem slime or its counterparts. But the fun thing is its design. Sure, this ring design looks better, but this is not the design that was used when it reappeared in Dark Prince. Instead, it went back to the Caravan Heart design, which I don't know why they made that choice. I'm not sure if I enjoyed that choice, but I still respect them for it the same. So there's technically two different versions of diamond slime that are both diamond slime. Pretty interesting, huh? Here's a fun monster next. Next one, I know absolutely nothing about this. Say hello to Monkey Zombie. That is its name. Yeah, it's a monkey zombie. What else do you want to know? I literally know nothing else about this monster. Presumably, it is a servant of the final boss of Joker 2 Professional, who is also a monkey, I should probably add. He is likely a zombie monster, I'm assuming, based off the fact it has zombie in its name. He's probably small sized because he doesn't strike me as a big monkey or a large monkey. Yeah, honestly, I haven't played Joker 2 Professional yet, mostly because I haven't been able to work around the minor translation problems that I've had with it. But besides that, monkey zombie. Happy? Alright, you want to be happy? Let's go back to some monsters introduced in Caravan Heart. Say hello to Paws. This is a shark with legs. Small sized, decent physical attacker, C rank, usually has some form of anti-metal skill set, usually either anti-metal or hunter mech, and although it did appear in Caravan Heart, it has reappeared in quite a few things. Joker 2 being the most notable one, Joker 2 Professional, the 3DS games. It did not reappear in Dark Prince, which is a shame, because that would have been hilarious, simply because Paws looks really stupid, and it's funny. Looks so stupid, it's funny. Speaking of more Caravan Heart monsters, we only got one more to go on this list, that being the Triwinder. Yeah, the name kinda says it all, but just in case, it's a snake with three legs, three tails. It's a snake that splits into three parts. Reappears in Joker 2 Professional, probably as an M-sized monster, once again, not sure. Physical attacker, though, does seem to be around that. And of course, once again, although I'm not getting too much information for Joker 2 Professional, it does seem to have the same size and stats as a medium physical attacker in the 3DS games, so that's what we're going with. Of course, was also a powerful physical attacker in Caravan Heart, but nobody cares about that game. If you do, stick around for a couple weeks. Moving back to the monsters actually introduced in Joker 2, say hello to the Wormonger. You may know this as the first large-sized monster you saw when playing Joker 2, and kind of that big intimidating presence in the first area. It's a D-rank monster, large size, physical attacker I suppose, but it's actually just, a really bad monster. Part of that's because, it's large size, so it needs to be really good. Otherwise, it's just not that useful. Fun fact about the Wormonger, from Joker 2 Professional onwards, it actually gets downgraded. It's no longer the Wormonger. This pink guy becomes the Wiggly. And, That's because they created a palette swap version, which was black, looks sleek, much stronger, much better in pretty much every way, and they named that the Wormonger. So Wormonger is no longer Wormonger, he's Wiggly except in Joker 2 where he still is Wormonger, but when you're looking up Joker 2 Professional, the only Wormonger that's going to pull up is the Wormonger from Joker 2, which is not Wiggly, it's Wormonger. Is that all clear? No? Good. Alright, we've been looking at some pretty big stuff. Let's scale it down to about as small as we can get. Say hello to the Swarmtroop. These are an F-rank group of dots, physical attackers, pretty much just exist to fill in those early game areas. Basically, the inspiration for this is what if we had a bunch of smaller monsters working together in tandem? This is not a bad idea, which is why they did it with the Conklave, the Mumbo Jumbo, the Flying Saucers. I guess you could make a case for the King Slime, definitely the Slime Stack. But basically, oh, imagine all these cool small monsters bundled together to work together. If only it wasn't done better in pretty much every instance I just listed. Honestly, rather forgettable, except for the fact that, hey, they exist. The final monster is definitely a weird one, because it wasn't introduced in Joker 2, wasn't introduced in Joker 2 Professional, wasn't introduced in Caravan Heart. It was introduced in Dragon Quest Monsters 1+2 Remake for the PS1. That is Zoma's Devil. High ranking, probably, small sized monster, and it obviously looks like Zoma. It's supposed to be a powerful magic attacker based off what I've found from a few other games. I honestly have no idea. But, you know, the real question is, why is it called Zoma's Devil? What does that mean? What does that entail? Well, we don't know. It's pretty much made clear that it's supposed to be one grand mystery, kind of, you know, in lieu of Starkers, where it's just a smaller version of this well-known antagonist that just kind of appears to go, hey, look, it's small and cute or whatnot. However, I have a theory, if you will. In case it isn't clear, Zoma's Devil is much smaller than actual Zoma. Probably about small enough that he could sit on his shoulder if he really wanted to. I don't know why he'd do that though, except have you ever heard of the concept of the devil and angel on your shoulder? If not, it basically goes along that there is a devil and an angel sitting on your shoulder, whispering in your ear. The angel whispers things that are good that you should do, to be kind to others, polite, you know, etc., etc. Your moral conscience, basically. And then the devil tempts you, whispering all the things you should do that are selfish, or greedy, or evil in any way or shape or form. So, if we go with my fun little theory that I have here, Zoma's devil would be, well, Zoma's devil. He'd be the one sitting on his shoulder telling Zoma to do all the evil final boss antagonistic-y stuff that Zoma does. However, if that is the case, where's Zoma's angel? Zoma's angel does not exist. So, you know, this clearly can't be true, right? Well, I want you to take a look at Zoma's devil's design. He's holding a skull. Now, of course, this could just be in reference to the fact that Zoma's got some pretty nice skull drip, or it could be the fact that this skull is the exact same size as his head, so it'd be the exact same size of an angel's head if it was the same size as Zoma's devil. So then, basically, Zoma's devil just killed his angel. And that's all I have to say. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed learning more about some of these weird monsters. I know I certainly did. So thank you all for watching. If you're a fan of Dragon Quest Monsters content, feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike, but feel free to leave a comment so I know what to improve on next time. Before we go, let's take a look at the question of the every other week. Last week I asked about some traits that I didn't talk about in my tier list. I had two main answers. The first was from Samuel Perez, who gave me the heavy metal body trait information for the Diamond Slime, and the second was this story by Carpiv, who talked about a few more exclusive traits and how he used them in Joker 3. So thank you both for watching, and thanks for playing along. This week, we're going to take a look at those Zodiac monsters again. Now, of course, I did talk about quite a few of them, but a lot of that was theoretical. What I am going to be asking is, what do you think are the monsters that correlate with some of the members of the Greek Zodiac? I didn't cover all of them. The one I didn't know was Aries, but there's a few that are mostly guesswork. So I'm interested to hear what you think, who you think fills up some of these spots. That's all I have to say, so thank you all for watching, and this has been The Feeder of Souls.